The silence of space shattered in an instant as the unknown ships closed in on the human fleet. Captain Rachel Morgan's heart pounded as alarms blared throughout the Resolute. The strange vessels, sleek and dark, moved with deadly precision. They didn't send any messages, no warnings. It's only cold, calculated aggression. "Open a channel," Rachel ordered. "Tell them we come in peace. I want to talk." "Channel open, Captain," Lieutenant Collins replied, fingers flying over the console. No response yet. Seconds stretched like hours. Then, suddenly, the enemy ships unleashed a barrage of energy blasts. The fleet rocked under the fire. Explosions lit up the void as smaller escort ships were hit. "Return fire. Protect the Resolute," Rachel commanded. The fleet responded instantly. Lasers and missiles streaked across space, lighting up the dark battlefield. Despite their advanced technology, the human ships struggled against the speed and maneuverability of the attackers. In the chaos, Rachel noticed something unusual. The enemy seemed to focus attacks not just on their ships, but also on the orbiting cities below. Why attack the planet's surface? She wondered aloud. Are they trying to force the Zaldera's hand? Or send a message, Sam answered grimly. We're caught in something bigger than we thought. The battle raged for hours. The Resolute's crew fought with skill and determination, but the enemy was relentless. Ships on both sides took heavy damage. Smoke and fires spread across the battlefield. Then, a sudden shift occurred. The enemy ships began to withdraw, lowly, deliberately. Rachel suspected a trap, but had no choice but to pull back and regroup. "We can't win a prolonged fight out here," she told her officers. "We need to find out who these attackers are and why they want to destroy everything." Back on the planet, the Zaldera leaders seemed troubled by the conflict. "Hi, Elder," Lurian met with Rachel in a secure chamber. "This is the work of the Void Reapers," Lurian said quietly. "They send their scouts and mercenaries to weaken us before the final strike." "Then why didn't you tell us sooner?" Rachel asked. "We hope to protect you," he replied. "And to find a way to fight them without dragging humans into our war." Rachel knew better now. The Zaldera had underestimated the enemy, or feared the consequences of revealing the full truth. Determined to take control, Rachel ordered increased patrols and improved defenses. She sent scouts to track the enemy's movements and probe for weaknesses. One night an urgent message came through. Scouts had found a hidden base on a nearby moon. It was a staging ground for the enemy, a place where ships were built. Weapons were stored and plans were made. "This is our chance," Rachel said. "We strike first." The fleet launched a daring raid on the base, against heavy resistance. The humans pushed through, destroying key installations and crippling the enemy's supply lines. The victory was hard-won, but gave humanity a glimpse of hope. The fleet returned to orbit, battered but alive. As Rachel looked out at the stars, she realized the battle was far from over. The Void Reapers were still out there, watching and waiting. The fleet's success against the enemy's moon base was a small victory, but it raised more questions than answers. Who exactly were these Void Reapers? How deep did their influence run? And why had the Zaldera sent that mysterious SOS in the first place? Captain Rachel Morgan stood in the command center of the Resolute, her eyes fixed on the data streams flowing across the monitors. The planet below seemed calm, but Rachel knew appearances could be deceiving. Something hidden beneath the surface was stirring, a secret the Zaldera were reluctant to share. She called a meeting with the senior officers and Zaldera representatives. The air was thick with tension. "We need to understand more about the enemy and their plans," Rachel said. "Our recent attacks showed they have resources, and they're not afraid to use them." "Hi, Elder," Lurian nodded slowly. "There is more to our history than we revealed. Long ago, our world was part of a larger conflict. The Void Reapers were once our enemies, but they also fought others. We believed them defeated, but they have returned stronger." Rachel's curiosity deepened. "Why did you send the signal to Earth? Why call for help now?" Lurian looked away. "Because we are losing. Our defenses weaken. We hoped humanity's strength and courage could tip the balance." The humans and Zaldera agreed to work together. Scientists and engineers began sharing knowledge. trying to improve the planet's defenses and learn more about the enemy. During this time, Lieutenant Sam Collins uncovered something shocking. Buried deep in the enemy's communications was a code one that hinted at a secret alliance. "Captain," Sam said urgently, "these Void Reapers aren't just mindless killers. They have allies forces within the Zaldera themselves who want to see humanity fail." Rachel's eyes narrowed. Traitors in their own ranks? That explains the silence and the fear. With this new knowledge, the Resolute's crew started investigating the planet's underground tunnels and hidden cities. What they found was disturbing: weapons caches, secret meetings, and evidence of sabotage. Rachel confronted Elder Lurian again. "You have enemies inside your own people? How? Can we trust you?" Lurian sighed deeply. "Trust is fragile in war, but we must stand together or fall apart." As tensions rose, a new threat emerged. An explosion rocked the city, a bombing meant to disrupt the alliance. The humans and loyal Zaldera worked quickly to contain the damage and find the culprits. The line between friend and foe blurred. Rachel realized the battle was not just against the Void Reapers, but also against shadows within. Despite the danger, hope remained. Humanity's fleet stood ready, weapons primed and spirits determined. The coming days would decide the fate of two worlds. The silence of deep space was shattered by a sudden burst of energy, a signal unlike any Earth had ever received before. At the Global Space Command Center, nestled beneath miles of concrete and steel, the monitors flickered to life. Technicians stared at the glowing data streams, their faces a mixture of surprise and confusion. Dr. Emily Carter, the lead astrophysicist, leaned forward. The signal was complex, layered with patterns, codes, and strange pulses. It was clearly artificial, but unlike any known communication from satellites or probes. Her fingers danced over the keyboard as she worked to decode the mysterious message. This isn't just a call for help," she murmured. "It's something else, something hidden inside the signal." Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., the Pentagon's Situation Room buzzed with activity. Generals and scientists gathered around holographic displays showing the signal's origin, a small, uncharted system far beyond human exploration in the dark outskirts of the Milky Way. "This is not a random signal," said General Marcus Hayes, his voice firm. "It's a deliberate call. Someone wants us to come." Questions filled the room. Who was sending this? Was it a distress call or a trap? And why choose humanity? The clock ticked and the world waited. News outlets caught wind of the signal, sparking speculation and fear. Some called it a miracle, others a warning. Governments debated how to respond. Back at the command center, Dr. Carter uncovered more. The signal repeated every hour, but each time it changed slightly, as if responding to their attempts to understand it. Embedded deep within was a code, a strange language that seemed almost alive. "It's like it's trying to communicate with us directly," she said. "Not just sending data, but feeling for a connection." Across the world, the United Nations held an emergency session.
Nice.
Representatives from every nation debated the risks and rewards of sending a mission.
Awesome.
Feared inviting an alien threat. Others believed this could be humanity's greatest opportunity. The decision was made. A fleet would be sent. Earth's most advanced ships, carrying the best minds and soldiers, journey toward the signal source. As preparations began, tension and excitement built. For some, this was a chance to prove humanity's place among the stars. For others, it was a dangerous gamble. Captain Rachel Morgan, chosen to lead the expedition, stood before her crew. Her eyes scanned the room, scientists, engineers, and soldiers, all waiting for her command. "We don't know what awaits us," she said, voice steady. "But we do know this. We go as humanity's ambassadors. We must be ready for anything." Fleet launched under a sky crowded with satellites and the eyes of billions watching as they slipped through the void. The mystery of the signal weighed heavy on every mind. Deep in space, the source waited silent and dark, as if it had been expecting them all along. Back on Earth, the world buzzed with anticipation and unease. The mysterious signal had stirred something deep within humanity, a mix of hope, fear, and curiosity. Government scrambled to prepare, scientists worked around the clock, and the military mobilized its most powerful ships. The fate of this mission was uncertain. But one thing was clear. Humanity was stepping into the unknown. Captain Rachel Morgan stood on the deck of the flagship Resolute, watching the preparations unfold. Around her, crew members hurried to their stations, running final checks on weapons, communications, and navigation systems. The ship gleamed under the bright hangar light, sleek, strong, ready for battle if needed. "This is unlike any mission we've ever had," Rachel said quietly. To her second-in-command, Lieutenant Sam Collins, "We're not just exploring. We're answering a call that could change everything." Sam nodded, his eyes sharp. "And we don't even know who sent it or why." The Resolute wasn't alone. A fleet of 5 warships, each packed with the latest technology, assembled in orbit. Drones and scout ships zipped between them, simulating combat drills and scanning the dark void for threats. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the United Nations held tense talks. Some nations worried about provoking unknown enemies. Others saw the fleet as a chance to secure humanity's place among the stars. Political leaders argued. But the decision was final: the fleet would go. As the launch countdown began, families and friends gathered to watch. News channels broadcast live images of the fleet's departure. Children stared in wonder, dreaming of distant worlds.
Ouch.
Soldiers said silent prayers. Scientists held their breath. Then, with a roar that echoed through space, the fleet's engines fired. Bright trails of light stretched behind the ships as they leaped into faster-than-light travel, vanishing into the blackness. Inside the Resolute, the crew braced for the journey. Rachel studied the encrypted signal one last time. It pulsed softly on her screen like a heartbeat in the darkness. "Whatever waits for us," she whispered, "we're ready." But even as the fleet raced toward the unknown, a shadow loomed something. Waiting, watching, and perhaps not welcoming their arrival. The weight of impending battle hung heavy over the planet. Captain Rachel Morgan knew the moment of truth was near. The Void Reapers and their hidden allies within the Zalthera ranks had forced humanity and its new allies into a corner. There was no turning back. The human fleet hovered above the planet, ready for whatever came next. Repairs were made quickly after the recent sabotage, but the scars remained visible. The city buzzed with tension as people prepared for the fight. That could decide their future. Rachel walked the halls of the Resolute, greeting soldiers and officers. Their faces were a mixture of resolve and fear, but no one wavered. They had trained for this. They had hoped for peace, but prepared for war. "Captain." Lieutenant Sam Collins approached with grim news. "Enemy ships detected entering the system. This time, it's the main force. They're bigger, faster, and better armed." Rachel nodded. "Ready the defenses? We hold the line here." As the Void Reaper fleet emerged from the dark, their ships filled the starscape like a deadly storm. Black and sharp-edged, their design was meant to intimidate and destroy. The humans and loyal Zalthera watched silently, waiting for the inevitable. The first shots rang out, lighting the darkness with beams of energy. The Resolute led the charge, firing powerful volleys. Explosions rocked both fleets, and the silence of space became a battlefield filled with chaos and fury. Inside the command center, Rachel coordinated every move. She called for evasive maneuvers, counterattacks, and focused fire on the largest enemy ships. The battle was fierce and close. Meanwhile, on the planet, loyal Zalthera forces and human ground troops worked together to protect the cities. Explosions echoed through the streets as enemy ground forces tried to breach the defenses. Rachel received a transmission from the ground commander. "We're holding, but we need reinforcements." "We're sending support," Rachel replied firmly. "Hold your position." Suddenly, a massive explosion shook the Resolute. The enemy had found a weak spot. Alarms blared and crew rushed to contain the damage. Rachel's mind raced. Divert. Power to shields. Don't let them break through. The battle reached a critical point. Fleet fought bravely, but the enemy's numbers were overwhelming. Just when hope seemed lost, A surprise attack came from the moon base. The humans had rebuilt some ships there and launched a coordinated strike. Caught between two forces, the Void Reaper fleet faltered. Rachel seized the moment. All ships. Focus fire on their command vessel. Concentrated attack shattered the enemy's command ship, sending shockwaves through their fleet. Slowly, the remaining ships began to retreat. The battle was won, but at a cost. Many ships were damaged, and lives were lost. On the planet's surface, the loyal Zalvera and human troops cheered as the enemy withdrew. Rachel looked at the stars and breathed deeply. "This is only the beginning," she said. "But together, we can face whatever comes next." The stars had quieted after the fierce battle. Captain Rachel Morgan stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the peaceful planet below. For the first time in weeks, there was a sense of calm, but she knew better than to trust it fully. The Zaldera cities were damaged but alive, their people slowly rebuilding with human help. The alliance between humanity and the loyal Zaldera had grown stronger through fire and blood. In the aftermath, Rachel and her officers met with the Zaldera Council. There was much to discuss: plans for defense, rebuilding, and the future. Of their partnership, High Elder Lurian spoke softly. "We owe you our survival, Captain. Humanity came when we needed it most." Rachel smiled, but her eyes were serious. "We did what was right, but we must remain vigilant. The Void Reapers may have retreated, but they will return," Sam Collins added. "And don't forget that traitors within. We still don't know the full extent of their plans or their allies." The Council agreed to strengthen security and share more knowledge. Human scientists worked alongside Zaldera engineers to develop new weapons and shields. Together, they prepared for the next wave of threats. One evening, as Rachel reviewed mission reports, an urgent message arrived. Deep space scanners had detected a massive fleet moving toward. The system far larger and more advanced than the Void Reapers. "This is not just a local conflict anymore," Rachel said. "We've stirred a hornet's nest. Something bigger is coming." The fleet prepared once again, but this time with more allies and better knowledge. Humanity's role in the galaxy was changing, no longer just explorers, but protectors of a fragile peace. As Rachel looked at the stars, she felt a mix of hope and caution. The unexpected SOS had led to war, but also to new friendships and strength. Galaxy was vast and full of dangers. But with courage and unity, humanity and the Zalvera might just survive, maybe even thrive. The war was not over. It was only the beginning of a new chapter. After weeks of travel through the cold darkness of space, the fleet finally reached the distant star system where the mysterious signal had come from. The vast ships slowed, leaving the faster-than-light jump behind them, and entered the orbit of a strange blue-green planet. This was the place that had called to humanity, but no one knew what to expect. Captain Rachel Morgan stood on the bridge of the Resolute, staring at the planet below. The surface looked peaceful: wide oceans, green forests, and large cities. Glowing softly in the twilight, it seemed like a world ready to welcome visitors, not one in desperate need. "Scan for any signs of life or danger," Rachel ordered. Her voice was calm, but carried the weight of the unknown. Lieutenant Sam Collins tapped at the controls. "Sensors show an advanced civilization. Life signs are strong. No weapons detected, no immediate threats." "Oh, then why send such a desperate signal?" Rachel wondered aloud. "What are they really asking for?" As the fleet moved into closer orbit, a signal came through their communication systems, a voice clear and steady, but unlike any language they had heard. The ship's translators quickly began decoding. "We are the Zalvera," the voice said. "We welcome you, travelers from Earth." Rachel exchanged glances with her officers. The message was friendly, but something about it felt ... careful. Measured, the Resolute sent a reply. "We come in peace. We received your call for help and have come to assist." The reply was almost immediate. "Come to the surface. We will meet you there." The fleet prepared to descend. Smaller ships detached from the main vessels, heading toward the largest city. Rachel led the first landing party, a mix of diplomats, scientists, and security personnel. As their shuttle approached the city, Rachel saw towering buildings with smooth curves and glowing lights. The streets were quiet but clean. The air was breathable, a hopeful sign. But no crowds greeted them, only silence. When they landed, a group of Zaldera beings waited. They were tall, slender, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. Their faces showed relief, but also worry. High Elder Lurian stepped forward. "Thank you for answering our call," he said in careful English, his voice calm but tense. "Our world faces a grave danger. We need your help." Rachel studied him carefully. "What kind of danger?" Lurian looked toward the horizon. "Force we call the Void Reapers. They come from beyond the stars, destroying everything in their path. We sent the signal, hoping anyone would answer." The crew felt the weight of his words. A real enemy, and one powerful enough to bring an entire civilization to its knees. But even as Rachel nodded, she noticed something odd. The Zalveris' eyes flicked nervously toward their own city. "Why is the city so empty?" "Where are your people?" Lurian hesitated. "Many have fled underground." The Void Reapers strike quickly and without warning. "We live in fear." Rachel's mind raced. This was a call for help indeed, but something didn't feel right. The calm on the surface, the quiet streets, the nervous glances, it was as if more was hidden beneath the surface. "Can we see these Void Reapers?" Rachel asked. Lurian shook his head. "They do not show themselves isolated, but we have sensors that detect their approach. They are always near." The landing party spent hours exploring the city and its defenses. The Zaldera technology was advanced, but there were signs of strain, damaged walls hastily repaired, power fluctuations, and a nervous energy among the few people they met. Back on the Resolute, communications intercepted strange signals coded, bursts of data that didn't match the Zaldera's transmissions. Lieutenant Collins analyzed them carefully. "These could be warning signals," he said, "or messages from another group." Rachel shared her growing doubts with the team. "We must be cautious. This might be more than a simple SOS." As night fell on the alien planet, the fleet remained on alert. Somewhere in the shadows, unseen eyes watched the newcomers. The question remained, who had truly sent the signal? And what had they really invited? The peaceful surface of the planet hid a growing tension. Captain Rachel Morgan and her team had quickly learned that the friendly welcome from the Zalvera was only part of the story. Beneath the calm, something darker stirred, something they could not yet fully understand. As the days passed, the humans worked alongside the Zaldera to prepare for the coming threat, the Void Reapers. The aliens shared limited information fragments of warnings about a ruthless enemy that destroyed planets without mercy. Yet strange inconsistencies made Rachel uneasy. The Zaldera were guarded, refusing to answer some questions, and their leaders sometimes seemed nervous, almost afraid of revealing too much. Lieutenant Sam Collins was the first to notice strange signals, intercepted by the fleet's sensors. These signals did not match the Zalceris patterns. They were irregular, erratic, and carried a hidden message buried deep inside layers of code. Sam worked tirelessly, trying to decrypt the signals while maintaining security protocols. "One thing is clear," Sam told Rachel during a private briefing. "We are not alone in this conflict. There's another force in this system, sending encrypted signals. They're hiding, watching us." Rachel frowned. Could this be the Void Reapers themselves? Sam shook his head. Maybe. Or it could be a third-party and enemy of the Zalvera who wants to use us for their own gain. Rachel's mind raced. If the signal they had received was a trap, the fleet could be walking into a battlefield far more dangerous than anyone expected. To find answers, Rachel authorized a small scout team to explore beyond the city. Led by Lieutenant Harris, the team set out to investigate strange energy readings detected near a mountain range on the planet's edge. The scouts found ruins, old buildings scarred by battle and long abandoned. The structures were unlike anything the Zalvera had shown them. Inside, they discovered hidden data caches, ancient technology, and disturbing recordings. The voices on the recordings were alien, but unlike the Zaldera, harsh, aggressive, filled with hatred. "These must be the Void Reapers," Harris reported. "Or maybe they're allies." Back of the Resolute, Rachel gathered her senior officers. "We have proof that the enemy is closer than we thought, and that the Zaldiera are not telling us everything." Tension grew among the crew. Some soldiers demanded immediate action. Others warned caution, fearing that any wrong move could trigger a war. Meanwhile, diplomatic talks with the Zaldiera became strained. Rachel confronted Elder Lurian. "Why hide the truth? We found evidence of enemies you never told us about." Lurian's expression darkened. "There are factions among us. Some wish to keep the humans here to fight their battles. Others want peace but fear the cost." Rachel realized that the Zaldera's planet was a place torn by civil war. Enemy within, as dangerous as the Void Reapers outside. As the humans prepared their defenses, the fleet's sensors picked up fast-moving ships entering the system, known vessels approaching silently. Enemy ships? The communications officer warned. Unknown origin, no identification signals. Rachel gave the order. Battle stations. Prepare for contact. The fleet's weapons systems hummed to life, bright beams scanning the darkness. The approaching ships held their course deliberate, unyielding. The fleet was ready, but the real battle was only just beginning.